Consistency, color, and vibes. Alright, thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Cole. I have absolutely no qualifications whatsoever, but I'm just going to tell you a few things for a few minutes and we'll both pretend like I know what I'm talking about. Cool. Okay, first off, let's address the elephant in the room, alright? There's no algorithm for creating award-winning art styles. What makes some art styles so eye-catching is they're unique. The recent game Void Bastards has a super stunning 3D comic book style. It's eye-catching. Very few other games have pulled off such style so well, and that's why I think Void Bastards stands out to me so much. However, being unique is a bit of a trump card in the game of being eye-catching. Having a truly unique style is easier said than done because coming up with a unique visual concept is so much more complex than any one dumb video essay could ever try to cover. So why are we here? There's more to the story, okay? Imagine you're watching a Pixar movie and suddenly a scene cuts to a shot made in MS Paint. You'd be taken out of the movie. I mean, it's definitely a vibe, but it's not the vibe, okay? You know, what about Minecraft, one of the most iconic games in existence? I mean, imagine anywhere in that game a near perfect sphere would look weird. Neither of these stand out with looks that are truly unique. There's plenty of animated movies and plenty of 3D pixel art voxel games, but they still catch your eye and they keep your attention because they're smart and they're consistent. Minecraft is about blocks, and from the world to the UI, it's made entirely of blocks. So how do we keep an art style consistent? Well, I feel there's three things that can sum up most of any art style. Shapes, colors, and genre or vibe. We'll call it genre to keep it professional, okay? Genre drives everything. What feelings are you trying to evoke with what you're showing? Spooky, silly, loving, depressed, eerie? There's always a feeling being evoked by what you're showing, and being aware of that is half the battle. Now you just need to know how to portray that feeling consistently, and you can portray everything through shapes and colors. Welcome to the now kindergarten level lecture. Alright, let's start with shapes, everyone. Shapes and colors are something we see literally constantly, but never really think about. Shapes define what we're looking at or who we're looking at, so they're very important at a primitive level. Let's take this square for example. It looks solid, it looks unmoving, it looks rigid. This is just a geometric definition and can define what we're looking at emotionally as well. A lot of people use Carl from Up as an example, as he's made almost entirely of squares in his design. This really hits home subconsciously without saying a word that this character is rigid, it's stuck in its ways. Or take a triangle, for example. It looks sharp, maybe jaded. If we turn it upside down, it looks like a struggling to balance structure. A lot of villains are usually designed with triangles in mind because geometry conveys their internal struggle. But shapes don't just have to apply to characters, they can apply to furniture, cars, architecture, all of it. It evokes emotion, feelings just based on the shapes. But there's a second part to the image, colors. Now, this part is important and I get told I go a little fast, so I'm going to break this part down for the people in the back, alright? Hi, welcome to my presentation on colors. There's a lot of colors, isn't there? Like a lot. So many we actually put them in a wheel to make it easier to look at, but there's still a lot to choose from, so we've got a lot of ways we divide them up. Like a lot of those. So I'm just gonna focus on what I find most useful in making something that stands out, okay? So let's start by taking a slice out of this pie and just look at one color, or what's referred to as one hue. You'll notice up and down our slice here we have just one hue at varying levels of saturation and value, and those two pieces are very important. Now, value is how bright the color is, going from a dark shade from black to the true color of our hue at full brightness. Meanwhile, the saturation is how intense our hue is, going from a shade of white or gray to the true hue. And that's it. With this information we can go just about anywhere with just this one hue. This is a color grouping called monochromatic. This is a scheme where all the colors you use come from just one hue but at varying levels of saturation and value. It looks eye-catching because of how consistent and otherworldly it is, but you know, it's just not a very natural look. However, I feel it can be one of the simplest, most fun to try on your own. I'm actually trying to do something similar in my latest game, which you can wishlist on Steam, but enough plugging. Let's talk about one simple color scheme that I find interesting and one Hollywood uses a lot, complementary colors. You've probably heard of complementary colors before. They're simply hues that sit across from each other on the color wheel and therefore complement each other nicely. Like I said, Hollywood tends to use this one a lot, and it comes from the original principles of black and white movies. In black and white films, our lit areas used to highlight our subject, and similarly now, our colors are used to do the same. Once again, this is not a very natural look, as our world is usually so busy with colors, so to break it down like this looks otherworldly, but now that you've got the basics of color groupings, how do we even pick a hue to start? Well, like shapes, colors evoke subconscious emotions too and have psychology associated with them, like for example, red. It's usually associated with danger or anger. We also tend to notice a red a lot more as we're programmed to detect threats. You also may be noticing YouTube has red branding, important links like the subscribe button. They're in red. It's not just to be cute and on brand, you're statistically more likely to click that button since it's red. Most big brands are aware of psychology like this and pick their colors accordingly. You should too. In the essence of time, I'm not going to break down every color in this presentation, but point you towards people who actually study this stuff and don't just make bad jokes on the internet, like this TED Talk by Riley Johnson. Anyways, in closing, what's your game about? What are you trying to convey to the player? Start there, then tell us your story through your shapes and colors. Don't even stick to geometric shapes or primary colors. Go crazy. Simply being aware of this psychology and applying it to your art will keep it consistent, impactful, and most of all, eye-catching. Well, thanks for coming to my presentation. I hope I got at least to see. I'll include the links to the arts and helpful videos down below. I hope you subscribe if you haven't and watch my other videos. Okay, I love you. Bye.